Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to the Popternative podcast. This is the podcast where we had digital discussions, the worlds of pop culture, social media, sports, TV, film, music, everything really. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On Twitter, you might know me as PD Beats. And I'm speaking to two members of a pop punk band called Bearings, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves and tell us what they do in the band.
All right, I'm Doug, and I sing.
I'm Ryan, and I play guitar and also sing.
Doug, Ryan, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, man. We're stoked.
It took a while to have you guys on, but you know what?
We're just packed with interviews.
Packed with interviews. We can't even find the time.
This was a tough one. Yeah. You know, we straightened it out. We're good.
No, for sure. I think I had to call you out on a public Facebook thread to make this happen. So I was, as soon as that happened, I was kind of like, like maybe I should do that more. Like maybe, maybe that should be a thing. But seriously, guys, oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I was just saying that's business in 2019. You just got to call people out on public Facebook threads, whoever you want. That's business now.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I'm really happy to have you on. So, kind of an icebreaker to kind of start it up. Ottawa, the band's based out of Ottawa, Ontario. Talk a little bit how the band started and how the band got signed to Pure Noise Records.
From the beginning?
Yeah, that's
the Deadweight days.
Okay, the Deadweight days.
I mean, the Deadweight days.
I love that song. I told you, Ryan, I love that song.
Oh, dude, great tune.
It's a bop.
But we all met in college, and our original drummer actually wanted to start a band. He got me and Connor together, and we started playing around with ideas and stuff. We got Doug involved, and then I think Colin after that, or Jeremy. But we basically all met in college there at Music Industry Arts, and started playing together, and we loved it right away, and we decided to stay after school and keep playing together. So the early beginnings were a lot of fun, man. We didn't really have a plan. We were just we want to play pop punk. That's about it. And we wrote Deadweight, the hit single.
Deadweight, yeah, of course.
I remember posting that on my Facebook, being like, wow, it's pretty awesome that some young Ottawa kids are bringing back the Bowling for Soup sound.
Yeah, well, we recorded that ourselves with amps that were way too high gain.
Yeah,
I don't know. We thought we were Metallica or some shit. It was crazy. But
that's a good tune. That was, because that was I think that was the first single you guys were promoting heavily, right?
Yeah, it was it was cool. It was cool to put that together ourselves, and it was a good learning experience. But obviously everything we've done since then.
So now that was the Deadweight days, but we're talking about the days now, the Pure Noise days. You guys are on Pure Noise, which is amazing. You know, for some of the best pop punk bands of all time, arguably, have come from that record label.
Yeah,
it was crazy, man. It was we submitted our stuff. We recorded all our stuff with Anton now. Anton DeLoss, he's a really good producer out of Toronto. We love him to death, and we recorded our EP with them, and we just submitted it to Pure Noise, and they were the one label that we wanted to be signed with, because we just grew up on all their bands, and we were absolutely blown away when they called us back and wanted to talk and were interested. We were just geez, this is crazy.
It's nuts. And what do you think it is, Doug, about Ottawa with pop punk? Because one can make an argument that there's something there, because there's Bearings and We Were Sharks. We Were Sharks are a band that's on Victory Records, and those are two bands from Ottawa. And then there were some bands Rydell and some other bands that were doing really, really cool things from Ottawa and kind of repping Canada on the pop punk scene. What is it specifically about Ottawa, do you think, Doug?
I'm not too sure. I think it's that when you start a band and you're in Ottawa, you definitely don't have the benefit of being from Southern Ontario. You don't have that benefit of being oh, we're close to everything. You really, when you go on tour, you have to go on tour. You have to make a weekend of it at least. And I think that kind of pushes you to take it a little bit more seriously, and to actually kind of look at yourselves as more of a real band than a band that would just kind of go do it on the weekends, right? Or a band that can just go play one-offs, because you can't really.
Yeah.
Like you can maybe get a decent support slot in Ottawa once in a while, but for the most part, you really have to go and you have to do everywhere else except Ottawa, right? Because you're not going to break and make it like playing Ottawa.
No.
You know,
and Ryan, you guys have played with some pretty like established bands, not only from like Canada, but you know, you've toured with some really amazing bands as well. And do they kind of see you guys sometimes as representing Canada? You look at bands like yourself and Seaway and such amazing pop punk bands are coming from Canada. Do you get that label sometimes? It's like the best of the best from Canada for that genre.
Honestly, like we don't get labeled with the Canadian thing too much ourselves. We've tried, not consciously, but like we've tried to kind of stray away from that. We don't want to get like pigeonholed into a Canadian thing, just because like so much of like the market is like America and Europe, and like we want to go down there and play to everybody. So, but I mean, touring with those bigger bands is incredible. Like we were on tour with State Champs and 4 Year Strong and Seaway and Like Pacific, just like bands that we love, you know, and huge influences on us. And every time we'd get an offer, we're just like, are you serious? Like, it's you actually cool. Want to take? Okay, we'll do it.
I will say the Canadian thing's funny because I feel like so many people in the States and stuff, they don't know who bands like Tokyo Police Club or Colorado or even the Tragically
Hip. They don't
Hip.
even know who Billy Talent is, man.
Yeah, and they're bands that play such a huge part in how we sound. And they're like, oh, you kind of sound like I haven't really heard like a sound like that or whatever. And I'm like, yo, you've never heard. Like we derive so much of our influence from so many Canadian acts. Mm-hmm. So when they're like, oh, you sound like Transit, I'm like, do we, or do we sound more like Tokyo Police Club or Colorado, or like, because that's like where I feel like the influence is actually coming from.
Dude, you know? Like before, Doug didn't even know who Transit was.
People saying it. Yeah, I love them. They're a great band, and I listen to them all the time now. But
it's like people are like, oh, you're the new Transit. It's like, we literally didn't try to do that at all.
The indie sound came from like the Canadian 102.1 The Edge, like.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you bring that up, because people that have followed Bearings for many years, you know, your extended plays, your full lengths, will notice that there is a little bit of like a transition after every release, like sound wise, like you kind of experiment, but a lot of bands do, right? Because it's a natural thing, right? It's evolution, it's maturity, right? Like that's a normal thing, right? What makes you want to kind of try new things? And like, for example, we talk about how Deadweight is kind of like a Bowling for Soupy, like Newfound Glory pop punk, but now you have songs that people label you as like the Canadian Transit. Like those are two different types of sounds. You know what I mean?
For sure. Sure.
I mean, Blue in the Dark gets played in all these weird places, like very normal places, like the movie theaters and LCBOs and stuff.
The ski resort the other day, we're just like, what the hell?
When you heard your song at a ski resort?
They sent us a video of it.
Yeah. I don't know how, and it's on like a TV radio station too.
Yeah.
Like a coworker of mine was saying he was at like a family gathering and they just had a radio station on the TV and Blue in the Dark came on. And he was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, why is Bearings playing right now?
Didn't we use Bearings on the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, like highlights once? Didn't that happen? Yeah.
We need to do that again. That was so sick.
That was cool, man.
Really? We definitely did that. No, like, and that's actually cool because I feel like there is a big relationship between not only like music and sports, but like pop punk and rock music and hockey. There's a big like relationship there.
I think like what hip hop is to basketball, pop punk very much is so like to hockey.
Yeah, it's huge.
They kind of go hand in hand in a lot of ways.
The one goal. So we want to get in an NHL game.
That's the goal. Where you are was meant to be in an NHL game.
We wrote that for NHL 19. It didn't make the cut. So NHL 20. Well,
yeah.
20,
From now on, we're gonna do a song on every record that's just intended to be in an NHL.
It would be awesome to have like if you guys ended up like making a music video that was like in a hockey rink. Like a lot of bands, like can you imagine like you just guys playing like at a rink? That'd be kind of cool.
You know what I realized? You know that whole like Austin Matthews song?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the rap song, like Hit 'Em with the Four, like that's Ottawa.
Yeah.
There's Carlton Ravens banners in the background. I'm like, that's like that's harsh.
Wave,
that's harsh.
It's cool.
I remember when this before kind of the Pure Noise days, you guys had like an opening you were like an opening band on like a Seaway show in Ottawa. And me and Ryan Spooner showed up.
That was cool, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you came up to me and was like, yo, Ryan Spooner's here. Gotta meet him. Or just like, oh fuck, okay, here we go. And the next day he posted our shirt on Twitter. Like him
Which was
wearing.
real nice of him.
Yeah.
He's getting back into it. He was like DJing for a little bit, so he was really into like electronic dance music for a little bit. But he's back into it now. Like he's a huge fan of like state champs and all of that.
Everyone should kind of, I don't know, we do the same thing. We'll go through times in the van where we don't listen to like, it's just like a few days of like only rap, and then like a couple days of just like oldies, and then like a few days of we listen to pop punk again, and then it goes back to like alternative indie stuff like Laney and.
Well, man, I had Matt Greiner from August Burns Red on the show, and he basically was. We didn't talk about this much, but I've definitely seen interviews where they are like a heavy band, but they don't listen to much heavy music, and they make like heavy music, and then you have bands that like don't make heavy music that like they are just listening to a lot of like death metal and crazy stuff, and they're like an indie rock band. So that's weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, when you're constantly surrounded, especially on tour, right? If you're on a tour and there's like 4 pop punk bands, so you still love the genre, you still, it's still what you're into, but you're hearing it every night. So when you're in the van or you're hanging out, you want to hear sometimes just the furthest thing from that.
Static noise.
That's
blasting.
You. Yeah, you're like fans.
I listen to fans every night when I go to sleep in the van. It's like block out everything, It's just like one time I went to bed, woke up, and it was like hour 11 or 12 of fans blowing, and I was like, shit, dude, it's a lot of data.
Just to listen to fans.
Yeah. Trouble.
It's one of those things too where you mentioned getting the tour with some pretty amazing acts like For Your Strong State Champs, but like what has been kind of the coolest thing for both of you that you've been a part of in Bearings? Like, has there been a cool show? Has there been a cool moment? Like, is there anything that you could pick that's been kind of like a wow, this is an awesome life moment, and this is because of Bearings?
I think for me it would have to be, we put out Northampton, and we still hadn't signed yet. We were just kind of like doing it on our own. We put out Northampton. We went on that our first American tour with Whole Close, our good friends, and we did the whole tour. And not to say the tour was bad, it was a lot of fun, but it was tough. It's like any band's first time in the States, I think. Mm-hmm. It can be tough you're playing to like not very many people a lot of those nights. And we came home, and in the past when we played Toronto, it was never like anything.
Yeah.
Like in Ottawa we could play to a full room, but it was in Toronto it just never caught. But we'd released Northampton, went on this American tour. The last show was in Toronto, and it was at Hard Luck. And I remember walking to the venue and thinking like, why the fuck is this at Hard Luck? Like
we're headlining.
We're headlining, like this is just gonna be a disaster. Like we've never. And then I walk into the venue, we're gonna go on stage, and it's like there's like 150 kids in there. Yeah. It's looking pretty good. And I'm like, they can't be here for us, Like last time we played Toronto, we played to the Smiling Buddha basement to 6 people.
Yeah.
And, we got on stage, hit the first note, and kids were like stage diving and going nuts and singing all the words. And I was
it was for you guys.
Yeah. I don't know what clicked or happened in between like the last time we played Toronto and that time, but something happened. I just remember
it was like Northampton just being released.
Yeah, Northampton for whatever reason just did so much for us, and I remember when that happened, I was like, "Man, this is crazy. This is
awesome."
A good moment.
What about you, Ryan? Anything cool like that?
For me, it's like I think about that one. I think about other shows like EP release show of Home Is even was like a house show. Nothing Here Is Permanent at the 27 Club. Just like each one was like sold out, and they were great shows, and I was just blown away by them. But also just like seeing people online, like people posting tattoos of like lyrics and like dude, there's been like
so many Nothing Here Is Permanent ones.
And like there's been so many tattoos.
That's crazy.
Lyrics, and I'm just like, that's insane. And
and you think of that and like some of those lyrics, you're probably like, man, like I was like I woke up from a late day and I was just like jotting stuff on my notepad. Yeah, and now that's on someone's like skin.
It's truly insane, man. It's like seeing that every time. I'm just like, wow. I like show my parents. I'm like, look at this. They got a fucking tattoo of our lyrics. It's like crazy.
And have you been recognized yet? Has that happened?
Sometimes,
like at a show or at a tour, like people taking photos. Has that happened yet?
Oh yeah. We take lots of photos every night after our set. Like after the show's done, we all stand by the merch table. Anyone who wants to like you know, there's always fans that want to take photos or have stuff signed.
Yeah.
We like hang out and talk with them and do the photos and sign stuff.
Trying to meet.
I don't think you know, that's one of the nice parts about, I think, this genre. Yeah. It's just like the fans are so passionate and they just really, maybe it's just the type of music we write. We don't really write too much about like girls and stuff. It's mostly about more serious stuff.
Did you guys have a chance to play Warped Tour? We
never did. No. Unfortunately.
Bummer.
I thought you did. I was, yeah. So,
all of ours, but it died, unfortunately.
Maybe there's upcoming shows. You never know. Like maybe next year. The year
so
after.
I had Kevin Lyman came on the show, and I straight up asked him about that, and he kind of hinted to like it's not completely over. Like there's going to be like reunion shows or tours.
I think
it's been announced yet.
No. I thought like
there were some dates were announced.
I love Ryan.
No, dude, like on Facebook.
There were some dates announced, I believe, or cities or something.
Okay. I thought you were like leaking information or something.
No. It's not a secret anymore.
Bearings showing up on one of these shows, like what?
It says 25 years, right? Like they're doing like that thing. Yeah. I don't know. Who knows what it is?
But my question was, you look at Warped Tour, you look at Alternative Press, who's a publication that give you guys a lot of love on like a daily basis. Like I'm pretty sure like Alternative Press loves Bearings like a lot. Like you're in there a lot. I don't know if you notice.
That's cool, man.
But it's like, how important were those kind of publications, those tours for this genre? Like, I mean, it's where one can make an argument that like 75% of someone's music catalog, Ryan and Doug, is from Warped Tour or from Alternative Press.
I think
100%, yeah.
I think it's impressive. Like when you look at any other genre, it's not like they don't do traveling festivals because it's just such. It seems so impossible.
Yes.
You know, like there's a reason it doesn't happen in another genre. So the fact that it happened in alternative music and punk music for as long as it did and hit everywhere it possibly, you know,
every city, man.
Every city, even place like weird, even places where it used to be held at, where did Warped Tour used to be held at when it did Toronto? It used to be somewhere very not Toronto.
Yeah, it was like way out.
It was like way out there.
I can't remember.
But yeah, dude, the fact Warped Tour went as long as it did, doing as many shows as it did, is like, I think, very impressive.
And we just like, all of us grew up on Warped Tour and Alternative Press. Like I bought the magazine every month, went to Warped Tour every year. It's like both those were so influential.
I remember we went to Warped Tour one year and I said, we're gonna be on this in 2018. Or I don't know.
It was 2017.
Was it 2017?
We were there in 2014. And then, you were like in 3 years.
I said in 3 years, I think we could maybe not do the whole tour, but we'll play a show.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately our full length, maybe we could have gotten on it if we had a full length out before that last year. But,
I feel like we missed it by 1 year.
Yeah. But at the same time, I think there's going to be cool things to come out of, you know, during Warped Tour, a lot of bands would have to like navigate that was existing in their tour schedule. So maybe with that not being as broad as it is and not hitting as many markets, maybe there's going to be some more cool club shows or something.
No, absolutely.
It as well. I don't know.
Opens the door for something else, you know?
Yeah.
For people that don't know about Bearings and need to check it out, how can you kind of like define the specific, like the current sound of Bearings and and talk a little bit about kind of the latest release you guys put out?
It's a tough one, man. It's
really, I feel like it's more like information.
I feel like
sorry. I feel bad. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel bad.
No, I just feel like the album has so many different songs on it. Like, there's songs that are like, you know, we totally got Third Eye Blind influence from, and then like Death Cab for Cutie, and then pop punk bands, and just like we were all over the map with that album. Like we wanted to really make it diverse and like stand out with all our influences on it, you know. So
I would say in like a short sentence, it's like Canadian indie rock meets pop punk. Right?
What made you want to kind of like, I know I'm obsessed with Deadweight, but what made you like leave that type of stuff?
Is
it just kind of like it just happened?
I think it's just one of those things where like believe it or not, I didn't even get really into this kind of music until I met Ryan. Like I didn't even get into the Story So Far or or Neck Deep or any
Wonder
like I just wasn't in the Wonder Years. Like I wasn't into a lot of it until I came to college, and then I met the guys. I liked Blink-182. I liked Fall Out Boy. I liked like the early 2000s big mainstream artists, but I didn't really know about.
That's what Bearings originally was. Like when you first put out the songs, that's what kind of the vibes were, man. Like it was like the early pop punk vibes. And you guys were young at the time. Because what? You guys are what, like 90, 95, 96s? How old are you guys?
94s.
You're 94s?
Yeah.
85.
85. Yeah, Ryan's actually he's young for his age.
No, I'm 94.
Yeah, we're all 94s.
So you're 94s, right? And like when Deadweight came out, what, like 3-4 years ago, or like when did that come out? When did you put Deadweight out?
Oh, it's 20 now.
A while ago.
2015.
I try to pretend it doesn't exist sometimes.
No, so why? It's a great song.
I like to share Deadweight. It's like if someone's like, "Oh, what's your band called?" I'm like, "Oh."
No, I find it cool, and I think that's one of the reasons why I think there's a little bit of buzz about that song. And it's important is because you were very young guys doing like early 2000 pop punk sound, right?
Yeah. No, it's true. I remember our friend Lance said like, "You're the band that sounds like it could be in Tony Hawk or something."
Yeah.
What,
yeah. Like when we were first starting to play Leaky Bees and stuff, when we were like this young band, and we're still young and we're still starting out, but when we were very, very, very much still young and still starting out, I think we're that band that was playing like throwback 2000s pop punk.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool,
shit.
but I don't know. I think it's just that maybe the transition and the changes just kind of come from the fact that we
Wait. There's nothing better than that.
Did I just classic? We've toured with like Pacific too much, I think.
Classic.
Oh my god. Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of come from the fact we listen to so much. We listen to so much different music.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We can't pick what we like even.
I definitely
listen to Laney, then Kendrick.
The next album's gonna be mumble rap.
Yeah. Oh, I intend on it.
There will be mumble rap.
There's gotta be some. There's gonna be some trap beats. I promise.
I definitely wanted to ask you guys about Spotify too, because it was a big year for Bearings on Spotify in 2018, in terms of streams and downloads, and Spotify is a big part of people finding newer pop punk bands these days because those playlists, and like Bearings are one of those bands that kind of has the honor and pleasure to be on like almost all of those, right? Like you're on almost all those playlists, like new pop, like Pop Punk's Not Dead, new punk sounds. Like there's a Bearings song on a lot of those playlists, right? Talk a little bit about the impact those specific playlists have had in terms of discovering music. Like they're just rolling them out all the time, and that automatically just bumps up your numbers because Spotify's kind of pushing it, right?
I mean, it's the reason Eyes Closed is our most popular song, but doesn't have a music video.
Yeah.
It wasn't a single. It doesn't have a music video. Yet when we play shows, it's
that one
the song. It's
it
does so. It's like one of our top 5
because it's on a playlist.
Because it's on those pop punk playlists, and it really does make a big difference. Spotify's huge. People always talk about like, oh man, like people don't buy records anymore or whatever. And I just think it's funny because those are the same people that like kind of like push off Spotify. Like it's like, oh, okay, you do need a lot of streams to make sufficient money and stuff.
Yeah.
Your music doesn't get out there without those playlists.
No, and people aren't going to come to shows if they don't know your music too,
exactly.
right?
Like,
and I get like if I said that to someone like who is saying that like the royalties for Spotify are unfair, like I feel like what I just said about like you need people to listen to go to shows, I feel like they would just kind of disagree with me, but I see them as kind of working together. You know what I mean?
I do too. A lot of the people that find us through Spotify and come and see us live are the same people buying the vinyl and having us, sign it and just being excited. Even Nothing Here Is Permanent. Like that vinyl, it costs a lot to put music on vinyl, right?
Yeah.
So we're selling that for like, what was it? $20? It's 6 songs.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
5 songs. I don't even know how many songs are on it. 5 songs. And people were still happy to buy it and be like, yo, I want to support you guys. I found you guys on this playlist. You guys are really cool. I'm going to buy this. And, I don't know.
I think that Spotify is super beneficial too, because like you'll be listening to another band and then like the radio thing will come on or whatever it is. Remember?
That's
and
huge.
We'll get put into that and it's like, oh shit. You find so many new bands that way. It's really interesting.
Our related bands though are kind of funny though.
Yeah, I don't
It's like
think
Spraynard and like Iron Sheik and
Spraynard's
stuff.
sick. Though.
Iron Sheik is amazing.
No, they're great.
I
just
love Iron Sheik.
I don't
Let's see who they are. Let's see who they are.
they? Because I feel like
Man, Ryan, did I tell you about that band that I started listening? Like, there's this band. Do you know the Home Team? Have you ever heard of that band?
You told me about them, but I haven't
There's-
checked them out yet.
I found them on a playlist at
Oh, wow.
Unreal. They're so good.
Yeah, see, it's like so many bands you find through playlists.
yeah, our friends in between you and me, like they crush the Spotify.
They're
game.
supposed to come on the show.
They
Oh,
shit.
sick. Get 'em. Get
They're
'em.
incredible. I love those
I
guys.
can't find the related artists.
There were too many nights on that tour. We went camping and we couldn't start a fire, and they figured it out because they're Australian.
Yeah.
And then the outback.
We were like barbecue and Doritos, man. It was
Yeah.
cool.
I'll put it up here.
Yeah,
I think I have it. There. But
Yeah,
I think we'll wrap up soon, guys, because I know you guys have been on for a while here, so I don't want to keep you. But this has been fun. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show.
of
Dude, totally. Thanks for having us, man.
2019, I'm sure is going to be a big year for Bearings. So why don't you guys tell us what's in store and tell us where people could follow you guys specifically on social media and where they could check out the band and follow the band.
We're available on every social media you use, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's Bearings Band, but then Facebook is Bearings is a Band. Got confusing.
I don't know
for a
why we
second.
did that.
We did it because we were like, oh, we're going to do Bearings as a Band. It's going to be cool.
Also, there's another Bearings.
Yeah, I think
he
that's
may have taken it.
I think that's why we
I
did
think
that.
that was it.
They were-
Okay, so fans also like Spraynard, Home Safe, Lake Pacific, Capstan, Joyce Manor, Rome, Between You and Me, Belmont, Rarity, Waster, Columbus, and Boston Manor.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
A lot of those make sense. The Spraynard is just funny to me.
But they have Springer has one song that's so good.
Is it?
Probably haven't shown any of you guys it, but it's like really good.
Is Spraynard
Capstan is a band that I feel like is gonna do a lot of big things.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, definitely, man.
There's so many bands, man. I think it's a good time for the genre. I think there's a lot of amazing bands out there, and although I haven't been as many shows in the last couple of years, but I they're still happening.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, man.
Yeah, it's.
Tons.
I mean, we try to go to more shows, but it's tough. Not a whole lot hits Ottawa, unfortunately.
Ottawa has been a little low on the shows lately,
Yeah.
but yeah, because people usually go Toronto to Montreal. They don't really hit Ottawa as often.
Even Montreal though seems like a lot of bands are. I don't know.
Dropping off. Go ahead to Toronto.
Damn, it's gonna be only Toronto soon. It's gonna be
And people could follow, people could listen to Bearings on Spotify. People could get where could they get all that?
Any streaming service you use, like Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, if you want to get adventurous. Is that still a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
a thing.
Sick.
Yeah, dude.
Gonna
And
check.
the newest release.
Glow in the Dark.
Yeah, so that is also that's something that I saw you were talking about that. You're gonna be touring that one in Europe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in April with Set It
Oh, wow.
Off.
Set It Off. And what's that other band on there?
Vukovi, I think.
We don't know them. We gotta give them a
Never.
listen still.
Yeah, I gotta check
Yeah.
them out.
Set It
I think-
Off. That's gonna be fun.
They're from over there. Yeah.
Yeah, we've never been to Europe playing music, so it'll be. A lot
I'm
of fun.
excited to go to Ireland, and
Yeah,
I feel like those are my people.
yeah
We're gonna have some beers.
both Irish,
It'll be
right?
great. I think so.
I think I'm Irish.
I'm Irish too. Yeah.
I think this is a good time to wrap up. So
Yeah.
thank you guys so much. Where can people follow you on? What's your Twitter handle, your Instagram handle, if they want to check you guys out?
I'm I'm in a band.
And I am
That's great.
I
at
know.
Ryan Culligan.
Oh, that's a great handle.
Yeah, dude, it was very creative.
Man, did you see Matt Kachuk's handle on Calgary is Kachuk E. Cheese? That's a great
Oh,
handle.
that's golden.
That's pretty
I
solid.
like that. Well, the worst thing I just want to say before we dip, the thing that drives me insane is when you can tell when an athlete doesn't handle their own social media. It drives me insane. It's just the most safe comments ever on Twitter.
It's a bummer, dude.
Oh man, I'm like, could you have less personality?
Yeah.
No,
Some of them just don't have the time too.
that's true. I get that. They're making $7 million.
You gotta have time
know.
to tweet, man.
Yeah.
You don't have time to tweet.
Come on. We don't live real lives anymore. We just live on social media.
Just tweet more.
You weren't there unless you took a photo.
My goal in 2019: tweet more,
Yeah, tweet more. Take
Absolutely.
photos. Everyone think my life is
get
incredible.
more likes.
Yeah.
Well, seriously, guys, I wish your band all the best in 2019, and just you guys have been doing a lot of stuff, and I've known about you guys for a while, and seeing how you guys have been doing and growing, and it's just awesome to see. So congrats on all your success thus far. I wish you a lot more, guys. It's awesome.
Thanks so much, brother. Seriously.
Thank you, Pete.
Means the world.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Those are for the video episodes. If you just want to listen, you don't want to see us, you might want to see Doug. But if you just want to listen to the episodes, you could go to Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to the podcast. Until next time, this is Doug, Ryan, and Petey Beats signing off.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.